New information on a cybersecurity breach targeting government websites. They appear to be spreading a pro-ISIS message. A number of state websites hacked over the weekend, so they displayed ISIS propaganda. Among the victims, Ohio Governor John Kasich. His website was replaced by a black ISIS flag, but it's unclear who was behind the attack. Alex Hamerstone is with the governance risk and compliance team at TrustedSec. He is a cybersecurity analyst. Alex, thanks very much for being with us. Is this necessarily an ISIS project?
So not necessarily. Sometimes these things can be, some people that find a vulnerability and want to get attention, so they'll use something that's in the news. So this can get more attention like this and claim to be this.
How hard is it, though, to hack into a government website like the Ohio site we've talked about?
So in this case, it didn't look like it was that hard. I think that it's common that what you'll find is that there's a very simple password or username, and generally that's how they get in. This is a different kind of breach or attack than you might usually see, in that it's a defacement. Well, so you can think of it more like, spray painting your name on the front of a bank, not necessarily breaking into the vault.
Okay, but I guess it raises a lot of concerns because our state and federal governments have a lot of personal information about each and every one of us. Does an attack like this suggest that information has been corrupted somehow?
So there's not an indication that information has been corrupted, but it is concerning when you see this level of security at a website like this, because it could mean that there's a larger lack of security overall. One of the challenges with the government is, I'm a resident of Ohio, so I have to give them my data. If a bank or somebody isn't having the security that I would like, I can change banks. I cannot choose not to give information to the state.
So the information you say has likely not been stolen. It's not like they broke into the vault, as you said. What is the lesson here for other states, other governments?
The lesson is, go with complex passwords, make sure that you're keeping those passwords secure, and there's lots of things that you can do that are pretty basic cybersecurity that it appears is not happening right now.
Kind of interesting that, the United States did invent the internet, furnished it to the rest of the world, and what it seems to have done is put, even countries like North Korea on a much more level playing field in the cyber world, and especially the world of cyber attacks.
Well, so there's certainly, there are contributors from all over the world that contributed to the technology that created the World Wide Web as we know it today. But absolutely it's interesting that, what's happened is that now somebody in a basement in Europe or really anywhere in the world, can access your data just like they were sitting next to you.
And it's not necessarily, these aren't always state actors that are going after information, hacking and so forth. They're not necessarily motivated by the old, say, Cold War ideology or something that I grew up with.
Absolutely, and the same as you might see graffiti. Sometimes it's just for the sake of putting your name out there or showing that you can do it. A lot of people are just doing it, for the fun of it, or it could be a state actor. So it's hard to know right off the bat what it is.
I want to talk to you about another story that's in the news right now. Microsoft is confirming that some of the source code for Windows 10 was leaked online. How big a problem is that for future users or maybe even current users of Microsoft software?
So what we're seeing right now is it looks like what was leaked was what they share with their partners. So people that develop, whether you're printer technology or software. And so it is things that are not public, but it's not necessarily the secret source code that could cause a big problem. I think there are two things. One is obviously anytime there's source code out there like that, it can make it easier to look for vulnerabilities. But also it is indicative that maybe Microsoft has an issue keeping their code private, which could portend a larger issue.
But we've seen in the past, hacks developed from source code that allowed some terrible things to take place. The Sony Pictures hack, for instance, is one that comes to mind. You're fairly confident that that's not going to be the case here?
So based on the indications, I know that we've seen, it's been over a decade ago, there was some Microsoft source code released that did not end up having the impact that I think a lot of security professionals may have been concerned about initially. I think that definitely there's cause for concern, but based on what we're seeing now, it looks like these are the types of code snippets that would deal with drivers and that kind of thing. So not necessarily the base source code.
All right. Let's hope you're right about that. It's pretty technical stuff that guys like you understand. We appreciate your expertise. Alex Hamerstone, thank you.
Thank you very much.